Very much. We have breaking news in a decision that affects tens of thousands of children in Los Angeles. CBS 2's Mark Coogan is live downtown outside the Board of Education building with details. Mark.
Paul, this is a big jump forward for the charter school movement. It's happening in the nation's second largest school district. About half an hour ago, after 4.5 hours of debate and arguing, the LA School Board voted 6-1 to approve what's called the Public Schools Choice Plan, which would allow independent nonprofit operators to bid for the right to run as many as 250 LA Unified public schools. The vote was 6-1. The sixth vote was an interesting one. It was cast by a man who was an opponent of the plan, School Board member Steve Zimmer, brand new, but he reluctantly voted yes, as he explained.
So I endorse the philosophy of choice. I reject this process, and I vote yes because I want to be there to make sure that the next stage of this process is different. And it really is about kids, because this wasn't.
And here is what he meant. Opponents of the plan charged that the choice plan really was an alleged money grab by the charter school business and a power grab by Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa. Those were the main contentions of the opponents. Nevertheless, the plan passed 6-1. The superintendent now has 60 days to come up with a plan, a framework for how to judge, how to screen potential operators. They could run schools covering students, as many as 200,000 students. 50 of the schools that are brand new, they're being built, they'll be open in the next 3 years, and another 200 schools where the schools are lagging in performance. They're the low achievers. They're ones that have failed to meet the federal No Child Left Behind standard. That's the way it stands now. It is really just the opening battle, if you will, of a long war. Opponents came out after the vote going against them and chanted, "Recall various board members." Live downtown, Mark Coogan, CBS 2 News. Paul, back to you.
Well, Mark, before you scoot away, we should point out, as you did earlier, this is not a privatization of schools in LA. And second of all, even though there's a long battle to be fought, war I should say, this is a pretty big victory for the mayor.
Well, it's a very big victory. Remember, he tried to take over the school system through the legislature. The court stopped that. Then basically he ran slates of candidates to get a school board friendly to him, and here is the result today.
Yeah, and the privatization issue, some have characterized it as such, but that's not the case at all, right?
Well, it is, and it is a private operator, but nonprofit. Anybody that makes money on this will be out. They will not be allowed to join any of the teams running the schools. It's for private, independent, nonprofit operators. It could be charter school companies. It could be the mayor's partnership would bid for the right to run the schools, and if their bid looks viable, looks like the best deal for the kids, according to the superintendent and the school board, then they'll get the job. But the school will remain an LA Unified school funded by the taxpayers.
All right, Mark Coogan, thank you very much. Big news out of downtown Los Angeles. As we move on.
A crowd gathers at LA Unified School District headquarters. Inside, a face-off over who will control dozens of LA schools is underway. The school board is considering whether to allow charter operators to take over about a third of the district's campuses. Eyewitness News reporter John North is live at downtown LA, where the board is considering the controversial change. John.
Well, just a few minutes ago, the Los Angeles School Board, the members of the board, actually started debating the plan, the school choice plan. We may have a decision sometime very shortly if it hasn't come already. I see some activity over there. We'll let you know. But anyway, what it would do, it was allow private operators, not just charter operators, but private operators, to take over up to 1/3 of the Los Angeles School District public schools with strict controls. They lined up around the block to join the crowd inside school district headquarters for today's meeting. Some of them were here at 5 a.m. Not far away, thousands of people who support the school choice resolution rallied. Once approved, private operators could submit plans on how to run more than 50 new schools set to open in the next 3 years. And they could also get a hand in running more than 200 schools that have failed to meet benchmarks on test scores. School Superintendent Ramon Cortina supports the plan, but with strict guidelines.
It is time for us to act. Our students can no longer wait. We, all of us in this room and that are watching, must work together. We must work together. And
outside earlier, Los Angeles Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa also supported the idea.
Say yes to choice. No to the status quo. Yes to innovation. Yes to parent participation.
Teachers and employee unions opposed the plan. If charter schools take over, they say, there's no collective bargaining.
This is a backdoor attempt to get more than the $250 million. And I'm sorry, as one of the authors of that, I can tell you in all candor, you will be sued.
Sure, we want to protect our jobs, but what we really want are good schools for children. As far as protecting our jobs, yes, we want to protect our jobs, but my job pays $16.37 an hour, and I'm at the top of my pay range. So protecting my high-paying job isn't as much my priority right now.
Still no decision. If they vote tonight, it is expected to pass. There are expected to be enough votes for it to pass. We'll bring you the latest at 6. But Cortina says any of the plans submitted will be closely scrutinized for fairness and quality of education. Live from downtown Los Angeles, I'm John North, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, John. Well, California, it's nice you can spend time with their grandchildren. Leslie, thank you. The Los Angeles School Board has just approved a controversial plan to allow private operators to submit bids to run 50 new schools and to take over hundreds of low-performing schools. Supporters say it's innovation. Opponents say they're giving away schools. Eyewitness News reporter John North is live at LAUSD headquarters where the board just voted. John?
The board just voted a few minutes ago, and it affects tens of thousands of students and their parents. Eventually, up to 1/3 of all the Los Angeles public schools could be affected, could be privately owned by what was passed today. It was a long, contentious meeting, but it will be a long, contentious battle to get everybody together. The school choice plan initially is targeting 50 new campuses over the next 4 years. Demonstrators, including teachers, parents, and organized labor, started lining up before dawn. Thousands of supporters of school choice rallied just outside the school district headquarters where they heard Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, you just saw, reassert his support for a plan that would allow parents and local commuters a voice, or local communities rather, a voice in how schools are run. A big concern came from organized labor. A number of teachers were offended to protect the existing collective bargaining agreements. If the school district operates a school district, employees are subject to collective bargaining. If it's a charter, there's no requirement to recognize the union. The UTLA knew it was a lost cause.
When all is said and done, you will have sold this district down the road for political gain for some of you and for a mayor whose own program has been a dismal failure.
It is time for us to act. Our students can no longer wait. We, all of us in this room and that are watching, must work together. We must work together. And
Cortinas now has 60 days to develop a plan for this school choice plan that was adopted today by a vote of 6-1. Live from downtown Los Angeles, I'm John North, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, John. Singer Chris.
Well, can outside agencies do a better job of running LA schools? On a 6-1 vote, district officials have just approved a plan that could result in nearly 1/3 of its schools being operated as charters. Manny Medrano has more on the controversy.
It was raucous at times outside LAUSD headquarters today as the school board debated a controversial proposal. It would allow outside groups to submit bids to run 50 new schools and 200 low-performing schools, part of what many call a failed system at LAUSD. Hundreds showed up in support of the proposal.
I think it's a good idea because it's expanding choice for parents, and that's what you see out here today. You see families, you see parents of existing charter school students, and parents in communities that have been highly underserved for years.
We're here today to speak out for the idea that parents ought to have choice.
Mayor Villaraigosa strongly supports letting outside groups in to run schools. He says the status quo has failed and that charter schools are the only way to go. Over 200,000 students would be affected, but opposition has been strong. Unions fear collective bargaining agreements will be weakened. Plus, there's concern that charter schools don't necessarily do a better job.
All the studies that are coming out now are saying charter schools do not do any better than public schools. And the Stanford report says 37% of the charter schools nationwide do worse than public schools.
The problem with these studies is that the results seem to cut both ways. Some suggest that charter schools, in fact, are better. Others suggest that's not the case at all. The school board is expected to vote on the proposal today. In Los Angeles, Manny Medrano, KTLA News.